Right now, there's a cloud hanging over Rangers, and it's not just the early season inconsistency that has fans on edge. It's something deeper, something that goes right to the heart of how this team attacks. We're not just talking about missed chances or lack of goals. This is about identity, execution, and the kind of players trusted to carry the club forward. And one name, in particular, is starting to dominate the conversation. A player who arrived at Ibrox with big expectations, but so far has left more questions than answers. Let's start with the striker situation, because that's where the spotlight is really heating up. Rangers didn't just bring in any forward. They brought in BOJAN MIOVSKI, a name that had already caused waves in Scottish football. When he was lighting it up at Aberdeen, banging in goals for fun and showing that natural nose for positioning, a lot of people around the game said the same thing. He's built for Rangers. And now, after a bumpy spell abroad, he's back in the Premiership with the badge on his chest and pressure on his shoulders. There was a moment of hope, a flicker, really, when MIOVSKI stepped onto the pitch in that Old Firm clash last weekend. He gave Rangers supporters a glimpse of what might be, showing flashes of movement, link-up play, and a hunger that's hard to teach. And while the match itself didn't end in fireworks, you could sense that something was there, bubbling beneath the surface. But football isn't about glimpses, not at a club like Rangers. It's about delivering, consistently, under pressure, with the weight of expectation that only a handful of clubs in Europe can match. Former player and coach Billy Dodds, who knows the Scottish game inside out, believes MIOVSKI is more than capable of handling that burden. He's not just a finisher. He's not just a guy who waits in the box for the ball to land at his feet. According to Dodds, he's got the lot, the work rate, the touch, the football brain, and most importantly, the mentality. That last part might be the key. Rangers need more than talent. They need resilience, attitude, and a refusal to disappear when the stakes are highest. But it's hard to ignore the fact that MIOVSKI's last chapter, in Spain with Girona, didn't go according to plan. The numbers don't lie. Only 2 goals in 18 La Liga appearances, and a team that slipped down the table after a sensational season prior. For some, that might be a red flag. But for Dodds, and many others, it might actually be a blessing in disguise. That kind of adversity can harden a player. Playing in one of the most technical, demanding leagues in the world and experiencing both Champions League football and the crushing weight of disappointment, those are things you can't simulate in training. So now the question is simple. Can Rangers unlock that version of MIOVSKI, the one who terrorized defenses at Aberdeen, who made defenders second-guess themselves with every run, who didn't need an adjustment period to announce himself to the Scottish game? That's the hope. Because with the kind of service Rangers are capable of providing, if they can get their midfield ticking and the wide players delivering, MIOVSKI should be looking at 20 goals a season, minimum. That's what he was brought in for. That's what the fans are demanding. But there's another layer here, and it's tactical. If James Tavernier stays on the pitch as the designated penalty taker, that's already a handful of potential goals MIOVSKI won't get his foot on. Penalties matter, especially when you're chasing golden boots and trying to build confidence. It's the little things that add up, and at a club like Rangers, every detail counts. Still, Dodds is convinced that if MIOVSKI stays fit and gets a run of games, the goals will come. The effort is already there. You see it in the pressing, the way he chases lost causes, the hunger to be involved even when the ball isn't reaching him. That attitude, that willingness to grind, is what separates the flashes in the pan from the true Rangers strikers. And when you combine that with his ability to run in behind, hold the ball up, and get into scoring positions, it's clear he's got the tools. But tools alone aren't enough. They need to be sharpened. They need to be used with purpose. And that's where Russell Martin has to step in. Because this isn't just about MIOVSKI. It's part of a much larger pattern that's emerging at Ibrox, one that's causing real concern among supporters. We're talking about a front line that lacks rhythm, lacks spark, and more importantly, lacks goals. MIOVSKI might be the focal point, but he's not the only one under the microscope. Take Oliver Ant-Man, for example, a player who arrived with so much promise, already an international, already with strong showings in the Dutch league, and seen as a creative answer to Rangers' attacking problems. But where is that player now? After a debut filled with excitement and 2 assists to his name, Ant-Man's form has nosedived. No goals, no further assists. just a growing list of anonymous appearances where his confidence seems to drain by the minute. And when that kind of slump follows a player onto the international stage, like we saw with Finland against Poland, it stops being a blip. It starts becoming a trend. 0 shots, 0 chances created, 0 completed dribbles. That's not the output of a player bursting with belief. That's a winger who's lost his way. And here's the real issue. Ant-Man's struggle isn't an isolated case. It's reflective of something bigger. Across the board, Rangers attackers just aren't clicking. New signings aren't firing. The team looks blunt going forward. And that's a massive red flag so early in the season. When you bring in attacking reinforcements, especially ones with international pedigree, you expect them to hit the ground running, or at least show signs of being close. But right now, it feels like Martin is still searching for the right mix, the right formula to get these players humming. In Ant-Man's case, his versatility was seen as a big plus. He can operate on either wing, and that kind of flexibility is usually gold dust in a long campaign. But it hasn't translated. If anything, shifting him from right to left has only deepened his confusion. He's not sure of his role. He's not imposing himself. And when attackers lose clarity, they lose their edge. That spark, that split-second decision-making that separates the average from the elite, just isn't there. And that puts Martin in a tough spot. Because when a creative player like Ant-Man fails to produce, it impacts everyone around him. Fullbacks hesitate to overlap. Midfielders second-guess the pass. Strikers make runs that never get picked out. It's a domino effect. And in a system where the attack relies on sharp movement and instinctive play, hesitation kills. So here we are. Miovski is trying to prove he belongs. Ant-Man is fighting to rediscover the player he was. And Rangers, as a collective, are searching for an attacking identity that still feels just out of reach. The pressure is building. The fans are watching. And the margin for patience is wearing thin. What makes this moment so critical for Rangers isn't just the dip in form or the lack of end product. It's the timing. This is supposed to be the phase where Russell Martin's ideas take hold, where the squad finds its rhythm, and where the new signings begin to justify the faith and investment placed in them. Instead, we're staring at a team that looks unsure of itself, especially in the final third. Possession without penetration, pressure without payoff. It's all starting to feel painfully familiar to supporters who have seen this pattern before. And when we talk about patterns, we need to look at the wider picture in Martin's attacking setup. This isn't a team short on talent. On paper, there's enough creativity, pace, and movement to trouble any defense in the league. But football is never played on paper. In reality, the front line looks disjointed, almost like a collection of individuals trying to solve the puzzle on their own rather than a unit working in sync. That lack of cohesion becomes obvious the moment Rangers try to speed up the play. Passes go astray, runs aren't timed, and the final decision, whether to shoot, cross, or lay it off, often comes a beat too late. Players like Miovski and Ant-Man were brought in to change that, to bring sharpness, instinct, and a touch of unpredictability. Miovski has the pedigree. He's done it in this league before. And Ant-Man, despite his current form, still shows glimmers of the qualities that made him such an exciting pickup from the Dutch league. But it's one thing to bring talent in. It's another to integrate it properly. Right now, that integration feels half-finished. It's like Martin has all the ingredients, but hasn't found the right recipe. Some of that comes down to system. Martin clearly wants his side to dominate possession and build from the back. The idea is sound, especially against most Scottish Premiership sides who are happy to sit deep and defend. But when you rely so heavily on build-up play, the final third execution has to be razor-sharp. There's no room for wasted touches or half-hearted runs. Everything needs to click. And right now, it's not. That disconnect between midfield and attack is costing Rangers more than just goals. It's draining confidence, and when belief starts to fade, performance follows. It doesn't help that the wide areas have been a particular source of frustration. Players who are meant to stretch the pitch and create one-on-one opportunities are too often cutting back, hesitating, or failing to beat their man. That lack of directness invites pressure and allows opposition defenders to settle into their shape. Ant-Man is central to that problem. When he arrived, there was talk of his pace, his dribbling ability, and his eye for a killer pass. But what we've seen is a player too caught up in second-guessing himself. Whether it's the pressure of expectation, the adjustment to a new system, or simply a lack of confidence. He's not taking the risks he needs to take. And that has knock-on effects. When wingers don't commit defenders, central strikers like Miovski become isolated. The service dries up. The forward starts dropping deeper to get involved, which creates a void in the box when the ball finally comes in. It's a vicious cycle, and Rangers are stuck in it right now. What makes it worse is that fans can see the potential. That's what stings the most. They're not watching a squad full of passengers. They're watching good players underperform, and the frustration comes from knowing how much more this group should be offering. There's also the psychological weight of playing for Rangers, something people outside the club often underestimate. It's not just about football ability. It's about thriving under scrutiny, delivering when it counts, and understanding the magnitude of every match. Miovski seems to get that. You can see it in his work rate, in how he carries himself even when the goals aren't flowing. But others still look like they're feeling their way through it, waiting for something to happen rather than grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck. Ant-Man, again, finds himself at the center of that discussion. This was supposed to be a breakout year for him, a chance to take the next step, both at club level and internationally. But right now, he's slipping backwards. The performance against Poland didn't go unnoticed, not just because it was a flat outing, but because it mirrored everything that's been going wrong at club level. No invention, no drive, just a player trying to stay afloat when he should be leading the charge. It raises a difficult question. How long do Rangers wait for him to find his form? Because every minute spent hoping for a turnaround is a minute where someone else might step up and take that chance. And in a squad this competitive, time is a luxury few players can afford. Martin has to decide whether to double down and keep backing Ant-Man or to start looking elsewhere, whether that's reshuffling the current options or dipping into the January market if things don't improve. And let's not ignore the pressure on Martin himself. Every decision is now under the microscope. Every substitution, every tactical tweak, every post-match quote. That's the reality of managing Rangers. You don't get time. You get results, or you get questions. And right now, the questions are piling up. Why is the attack so flat? Why are key signings underperforming? And most importantly, when is this team going to show the killer instinct that title contenders are supposed to have? The truth is, there's still time to turn it around, but that time won't last forever. Miovski could still emerge as the striker Rangers have been crying out for. His track record suggests he's capable of going on a scoring run, especially if the team around him starts firing. He's shown the movement, the mentality, and the willingness to put in the dirty work. Now he needs consistency, confidence, and most of all, service. As for Ant-Man, it's a tougher road. He needs a spark, something to reignite the fire that made him such an exciting prospect. It could be a goal, an assist, even a moment of brilliance that reminds him, and everyone else, what he's capable of. Because right now, he looks like a shadow of the player Rangers thought they were signing. And in a club where patience wears thin and pressure is constant, shadows don't last long. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. The chatter around Ibrox has reached fever pitch this week, as whispers grow louder that Rangers are closing in on what could be their most eye-catching signing of the season. The name on everyone's lips is BOJAN MIOVSKI, the prolific Macedonian striker who has made waves in the Scottish Premiership with his sharp finishing and instinct inside the box. Sources close to Pittodrie suggest Aberdeen are bracing themselves for a significant offer, with Rangers eager to bolster their attack ahead of a crucial run of fixtures that could define their campaign. Supporters in Govan are already buzzing at the prospect of seeing Miovski don the famous royal blue, with comparisons being drawn to some of the club's great number 9s of the past. While nothing has been confirmed officially, the rumor mill has rarely been so insistent, hinting that negotiations are at an advanced stage. The notion of prizing a talisman away from a direct rival adds an extra edge, stirring memories of old-fashioned Scottish football intrigue where pride, ambition, and rivalry collide. Rangers' forward line has at times lacked consistency this season, and Miovski's reputation as a clinical operator could provide the cutting edge so desperately needed in tight encounters. His ability to drift off defenders, his composure in one-on-one situations, and his knack for scoring in high-pressure moments have not gone unnoticed by scouts south of the border either, making the potential swoop all the more dramatic. For Aberdeen supporters, the idea of losing their star man to Glasgow will sting, yet the inevitability of transfer football means that when the financials stack up, resistance becomes difficult. Rumors suggest a package is being drawn that would place Miovski among the most expensive signings Rangers have made in recent years, signaling the club's determination to wrestle back domestic dominance and make a mark in Europe. Nothing is official, but the smoke is thick, and where there is smoke, there is often fire. If the move materializes, Ibrox could soon be welcoming a striker whose goals have already haunted rivals across Scotland, and whose next chapter may be written under the floodlights in Govan. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.